I always knew Peter was good, but I didn't realize how good.
Both lyrically and musically, there was this almost agonizing level of care invested in every note, every word.
He just was such a brilliant theater composer.
This is the quiet hour.
The very first time I remember just sitting in that listening carol with the headphones on and just being completely blown away by the music. So sophisticated. Peter just had a harmonic language that was really completely his own. Whatever the context of a show is, you're creating a whole sound and musical world and vocabulary that suits that particular story in that particular setting. The show we wrote together, The Hidden Sky, that's set in a post-apocalyptic world. And we really saw it as a kind of passion story. So he was thinking it's kind of like a classical oratorio where there's a chorus and almost a kind of commentary, call and response, and remnants of these other cultures. So that's where the kind of world music comes in. And the fun was, bringing those two aesthetics together, in addition to sort of very exposed, crunchy choral music.
One of the other shows represented is The Names We Gave Him, which is set in the World War I era. And all that is to come really draws upon his love of early 20th century Stravinsky, Kurt Weill. He's influenced by all of these wide range of musical sources, from classical to pop music, but it never sounds just like something else. It sounds like Peter.
Your hair across your face, and the buttons of your dress, and the sound of the songbirds flowing like a river above us, and the smell of the warm earth growing.
A rising musical theater writer, decorated with the Richard Rodgers and Jonathan Larson Foundation Awards, Peter Foley tragically passed away at just 54 years old before his work could achieve widespread public recognition. Nevertheless, he left behind an undiscovered treasure trove of beautifully sweeping songs.
I knew I would remember this. I promise I'd remember this for the rest of my life.
It was such a discovery for me, both in the versatility and in the extreme thoughtfulness of his music. The music doesn't sound like other music. It sounds totally original and totally Peter. Composing is really thousands of small choices.
And wiser now, I don't ask why.
I know Peter spent a long time thinking about all of those choices.
Greatness has been preordained for the ones with the power.
Of every melody, harmony, and the rhythm and groove and accompaniment, and all, of course, in service of story, character, and those choices live on.
Have you ever seen the sun, Ganil? I was still up north in Kelling. Oh, my beautiful backward town. And I'm in my father's shop with the amulets and the fairy dust and the healing spells. And I hear the air singing Peter's music is both this incredible joy and like a terrifying challenge.
Rushing out, I turn my face to the hidden sky. Something big is taking place in the hidden sky.
It makes you want to match his audacity and honor that care in your interpretation and performance. And it made me braver.
And it made me slower.
And it made me ramble. And it made me laugh and cry. And it made me holler. And it made me crumble. And it made me foolish. And it made me want to fly out of myself and into the hidden sky.
We founded the project with a simple mission: to get Peter's work out into the world by promoting the performance, recording, and publication of his work.
We created the Peter Foley Music Project so that people like you could come together in a room and experience his music. So everyone here in this room tonight, we all become ambassadors. Let's share it.
One of the things that stands out to me about listening to Peter's music, I didn't know it before I got to hear this recording, and it was all I listened to for the week because I felt like every time another song came on, there was another layer of something to it.
One of the things that was most moving about this concert was how many of the extraordinary performers were interpreting and encountering his music for the first time. And that gave me such extraordinary hope to know that there is infinite possibility for where his art can still go.
We put together a chorus of musical theater students, and the things that they said afterwards, they were so inspired by Peter's music and the process.
Nothing is random at all.
This music is not stuck in time, it's a living body of work, and it can only just keep expanding from here.
Undeniable desire.
The beautiful thing about being a writer, being a composer, is that your work can be forever and it can outlive you. And that is what is happening here.
All is numbers. All is numbers.
Hi, Peter. It's Steve Sondheim. I just wanted to say how sorry I was that I wasn't there last Wednesday when you got your justly deserved award. I would love to have handed it to you myself. Anyway, congratulations again.
I've been thinking about this album as kind of like, okay, well, now we've completed this big thing. But what I'm realizing is that it's actually a beginning.
The wood is cool, dark, and alive. He takes my hand.
With Peter in particular, there was this longing that was at the heart of a lot of his songs, something that he knew was a kind of connective tissue between human beings.
I have tried and tried to remember what I felt, but all I can recall is the happiness in my heart, in my mind, dark and sweet and warm and blind. All I can recall is the happiness, no remorse, no regret, not a pang of shame, and yet he'll never love me in return, never worship, never yearn,
Opening hearts has been my secret agenda in my entire musical life, really. And I know it sounds pretentious, but I'm not afraid to say it. I just, want to change how you feel for a couple of minutes and maybe put you back in touch with some feeling that you haven't felt in a while.
Happiness